Hey, this is Bennett. I have a really special guest here with me today. This is Cavanaugh. We're going to be talking a little bit about his practice techniques, single string techniques, and also what he's got going on now and for the future. So how long have you been playing banjo?
I've been playing banjo for 26 years.
Whoa.
Since 1990.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And you studied with Rex McGee in North Carolina, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Obviously, when people think of you, they think of like amazing technique, really kind of modern sound, and when I think of you and when I think of your playing, I really enjoy what you do as far as like harmony and as far as expression with single string playing. Is that something that Rex McGee taught you in North Carolina, or is that something that you picked up there?
It's something that Rex McGee definitely influenced me to pursue.
Okay.
I heard his beautiful harmonizations on the banjo, and his harmony in general was just wonderful. He had this bebop and Irish fiddle tune backbone to. He has this Irish and bebop backbone to his playing. It sounds absolutely classic. When Rex improvises, it could be out of some classic movie from the 30s or on a bebop record.
Wow.
It was absolutely infectious.
That's really cool.
And I wanted to sound just like that.
Yeah.
Without sounding like him. And he influenced me to pursue those avenues of listening. Charlie Parker, Herbie Hancock, Mark O'Connor, some great Irish fiddle players, Frankie Gavin and Kevin Burke.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're studying with Rex, was there like a primary way that you learned these tunes, or these, like, I know Herbie Hancock or any of these people? Did you like learn from tab? Obviously there's not Herbie Hancock tab out there, so you were just like immersing yourself and listening to these people and trying to pick out what you could?
Yeah, I would immerse myself pretty deeply in this stuff. I wanted to understand the languages that they were speaking, because they were completely different from the bluegrass that I came from in North Carolina.
Sure.
So Rex was more of a guide, I'd say. I'd go to him and say, well, how do I learn how to play like Charlie Parker? Well, you should learn how to read music. Okay, I'll go do that.
Oh, cool.
And so I would learn how to read music. I went and learned how to read music. And I realized, wow, I have to start at the beginning. I have to learn how to read Mary Has a Little Lamb before I learned how to read Charlie Parker.
Oh, cool.
Well, once I learned how to read it fluently, then there was breaking away from your traditional banjo technique, which is not conducive to reading sheet music whatsoever.
No.
The technique jumps around. It's whatever it takes to play the technique on the banjo, but I wanted to develop something where I could read it off the sheet and learn the song efficiently.
Cool.
And that's what I did. So Rex was more of a guide. I'd come back to him and say, how do I do this? Well, you should go do this. And that's kind of how I did it.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So your single string technique is really amazing. Like, it's so fluid and it's so musical. And what I want to know, and what I know a lot of people kind of want to know, is how do you, like, where'd you start, first of all? And like, how do you get the speed that you've gotten with it?
Wow, those are two big questions.
I know, they're big questions.
I started by jumping in with the standard thumb index that everybody
like
uses.
Bailiff like does, like I do.
Yeah.
And did you do scales or mainly tunes, or just a combination of?
I did scales at the beginning. I did a lot of tunes that everybody already knows.
Yeah.
Just for really familiar stuff. I started with the easiest stuff that I could, but it developed into something where I was picking it like a guitar to do that stuff, and I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. And I thought about it, and I didn't think about it too much, but I was trying to play some chromatic runs. Like I was string skipping, and I came up, I think I was about 15 or 16, but...
Oh, cool.
And then I recycled it back.
That's a cool thing to practice.
So I saw that and I said, wow, okay. And around the time I was transcribing, or I was reading out of a book, but transcribing to notation from guitar tablature, I transcribed Korsakoff's Flight of the Bumblebee, and it turned out that
Wow.
I developed a set of techniques from necessity coming from that. So it
looks really fluid like that, and it looks like it would be hard to do it thumb, index. Like I can imagine myself doing it and being like, oh my gosh.
Right, and it was closed position, so it worked anywhere.
Right.
And it's very hard. You can see, you can see my hand flailing all over the place trying to play this. It's not known as an easy piece, but trying to work up the first, 16 to 32 bars of that song, I did a lot of practicing, and it kind of, that woodshedding embedded it in my playing.
I'm sure, yeah.
So by the time I got to, I was starting with the index finger, almost. I was doing all my scales with index first.
Whoa.
And I think it was just out of my fingers had gotten tied in a knot, and so did whatever side of my brain learned how to do this. So I said to myself, wow, all right, maybe I can make a system out of this,
Yeah.
Maybe I can start with the thumb here. And in second position, I can start with that. What does that hurt to learn both?
Yeah.
I had nobody to show me an example.
Right.
And I kind of reached a system that said, okay, well, shoot, there's first position. And I'm just playing them with one finger now, but there's second position and there's a third.
Yeah.
And so over the years, I played through all that and I experimented to what was comfortable. And I reached a point where I was starting with thumb, index, and then for the third, fourth, and fifth intervals, I did a forward roll. Thumb, index, middle. And then thumb, index or middle, and then thumb.
Wow. That's really cool.
Right, so to make it, to cover all the bases, I'd start with my index in the second position and go index, thumb, index, forward roll, thumb, index, middle, thumb, index or middle.
Right. And you do it with the notes.
Yep. So that came, I just started messing around and running scales over tunes.
Cool.
I would do a lot of practicing of three fingers on one string. So I bridge those together with thumb index. I play 3 notes on the first string, 2 notes on the second, and then 3 notes on the next string.
Cool. Did you ever encounter a problem bringing your middle finger up to the third or fourth string?
I didn't. No,
you just kind of adjusted your technique to fulfill that.
Yeah, I never had a problem with it. I tend to tell students if this doesn't work for you physically, see what you can, pull what you can from it and use that.
Right.
I'm not preaching a technique. I'm just doing whatever it takes for me to make it happen.
Right.
So it kind of evolved on its own, and for a while I sounded like a really awkwardly improvising classical player.
Yeah, not much chromaticism.
Not much chromaticism, not at all. So I had to take this, and the next step was to learn how to do these scales in thirds.
Sure.
and all their respective patterns.
Sure, yeah.
And then learn the modes.
Yeah.
And then learn all this in other keys.
Yeah, right.
So that's where your repertoire comes in that you know from bluegrass already. That's where that's where this stuff comes in.
Yeah.
The repertoire helps get you there, but it wasn't until I discovered the teaching methods of it, and I kind of Rex did this, but so did Yoda, so did Bruce Lee, so did Buddha, and all the John McLaughlin, all the great teachers, Pat Martino. This is a culmination of things that of pots that are on the stove that come together in one dish down the road. You have to wait,
right?
And they come. So I played through all this. I mean, I did hours and hours of practicing scales like that to metronomes, but I picked the phrasing of players who I really liked. And I was really influenced by the playing of, many greats. Tony Rice, B.B. King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Johnson, John McLaughlin, Ali Akbar Khan, all these great musicians. And I picked up phrases as I went along, and I collected players that I liked. Herbie Hancock. And I made them a mix, but I focused on a couple. I really liked the Indian relationship to the banjo. It's such an ancient instrument that, I'd take a phrase and I would play a phrase all over and over in a systematic way that Indian teachers would have you learn it.
Sure. Really cool. So you kind of get if you put that in improvisation, you get this kind of motivic kind of thing going on.
And then you can go up a fourth.
Very cool.
So this is a culmination of a bunch of my influences, but when it really came together is when I got in Bill Evans, the saxophonist band.
Cool.
And he started training me. John McLaughlin started sending me videos and books, instructional stuff, and I got a basis in a root in other American music, jazz. And I started relating it to bluegrass through different phrases and stuff like that.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.